Do you wish somebody wrote down the recipe for your parenting challenges? Did you want tips and tricks to become a better mama for you and your babies? I know I do. If you're a mother who feels that you are doing the best you can with the hands you've been dealt, but you're still getting it done, then this podcast is for you. I'm so glad you tuned in to Nailed It Motherhood because we might have the recipe that nobody wrote down. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Nailed It Motherhood podcast. I am your host with the most, Tamara Eldridge, and today we are being joined by someone very, very special. She's so special that she was already here before, so she's like a special. It is our very first guest ever for Nailed It Motherhood podcast from season 1, who started us off with this unforgettable advice. And I say unforgettable because it came up over and over and over and over again all throughout season 1. Give yourself grace. That powerful message resonated so much that it really had seemed to be the theme of season 1 for many of our guests. Truly, it's just as relevant today as it was back in November of 2023 when we recorded. So today, Dr. Christal Chatman is back with us, and I am super thrilled to catch up with her, do a deeper dive into one of her gifts to the world. And I just want to tap in and see more about her journey, even though she still is an introvert, she's fighting me on this, but we're here today and we're going to pull it out because she has some wisdom that she wants to share with the world. So welcome back, sis. I'm so excited you're here.
Oh, thank you. I am excited to be here. I loved our first conversation and cannot wait to delve in a little more. Let's do it.
Good time. And let me ask you, because our first conversation was about Brent. Did he ask you anything about it? Like, did he say anything about it?
Oh, he just said that I did a great job, and it was interesting for him to hear my perspective on him and our relationship and things like that. So he actually enjoyed listening to my perspective. You know, our kids don't always get that from us. So, yeah.
That's true to Brent and his personality. It was fun being able to see him now as an adult interact with the podcast posting and the flyers on Facebook. And, I don't know if we want to name these things anymore, considering what's going on in the world, but it was really exciting to see that, your mom talked about you a little bit, but you're still her biggest cheerleader. And that's always fun to watch. Always fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to do our episodic Tavi tale today. And last time you were able to share about your experience as Tavia when she came into the world, because you were one of those few gems who were in the room with me while I cussed out some people and yada yada. But that's another podcast. Tavi tale today I would like to share is on the topic of butlers. It is ironic that I am wearing the shirt. Didn't think about it whenever I put it on. Mother of a princess. It's probably backwards, but it says mama of a princess. And my child thinks she is rich. She really truly believes that she is wealthy. And I don't know what it is, but she watches these YouTube videos and then she'll come into the room and she'll be like, I'm rich. And it annoys the crap out of me, but at the same time, it's hilarious, right? Like my child, her personality is shining. It is shining. So over the break, we got to spend a lot of time together. And, there were times where I wish I could just, pack a bag and ship her out to the neighbor or anyone who would take her. Trust and believe it will be coming soon. But so one time, and she was sitting at the table just eating her breakfast and writing, doing some type of coloring or something. And I come into the room and she's like, Butler. I need you to give me this. And I looked at her and I said, excuse me? She said, you're my butler. I'm rich. And, there's a point in parenting where you just don't have the words. That was definitely one of them. All I could say to her was, I'm not your butler, I'm your mom. And she was like, okay, butler. And she said, clean up, butler. You can go now. So
Did you get up and clean up?
I did not. I make it very clear that my child needs to clean up after herself.
Yes. Well,
And I let her know it's actually midday where she called me butler. Baby girl, you got some cleaning to do. Let me give you some extra chores just so you know who's in charge.
I recall Brent when he was little coming in and telling me, Mom, you should just take the summer off. And I said, well, if I take the summer off, how are you going to eat? Where are we going to live? And he said, oh, I said, that's how, I have to work so that we can eat and have a house and all those good things. And he said, well, when I grow up, I'm going to be rich and I'm going to sell a song and I'm going to be rich and I'm going to take care of you. So I am sitting here waiting for that moment.
Let that song be the very best song that is in this world.
Ever.
So everyone is buying this. I need it. Sell it. Tell them
Absolutely.
I need a couple dollars from his song. Kids are hilarious.
They are.
Well, speaking of kids growing and developing and not quite understanding, I myself am learning very much as a parent. And I'm learning that oftentimes we go through a lot of things that we really just don't talk about as moms. There have been times where I kind of just had locked myself in the bathroom and just cry it out because I didn't know what else to do. And that actually brings me to the personal parenting journey, or rather personal journey that you will be sharing with us today, which is you'll be talking a little bit about your book, Behind the Mask. And I do have it, so I can put it in the screen for everyone to see. Behind the Mask by Dr. Christal Chatman. I'm super excited about her book. Now, this is not a brand new book, so I'm still waiting for more. However, this is a very deep book, and it's an easy read. So if you do purchase this book, you really can get it done very quickly. It's been a while since I read it, so I had to read it again because I want to make sure that we are both on the same page when we're having this conversation. And it just brought back so many questions and so many, oh my goodness, aha moments. I mean, I was with you on that, and I kind of remember that, and that's what you were going through. So today, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about why you chose to write Behind the Mask.
So I chose to write it, one, because I had a couple people who told me, you need to write a book. And so that had always been in the back of my mind. But there was just a period of time in my life when I had a self-discovery moment. I think I've done one of those personality type tests. And so it came back introvert. That was, in my 20s. And I hadn't really thought much of it. But then I went through a traumatic type of experience in my first marriage. And as I was going through counseling and I was talking about my feelings and things like that, the counselor said to me, "You're not depressed, you're an introvert." And I was like, well, what does that mean? And so then she talked to me about what it means to be an introvert. And I kind of went on a self-discovery. I just went back in history and thought about when I was in elementary school and junior high and high school and how that has presented itself in my life, where there were times that I felt misunderstood and I even misunderstood myself. So it was that combination of things. But then I also, in that experience, as an introvert, we sometimes have difficulty expressing ourselves and being transparent. And so there's that concept of having a mask on. And so for me, I really wanted to share with the world what that means as an introvert and how to get through it and how to deal with it. I mean, during that time I was having the experience, I wanted help, but I also was kind of closed off. And it brought me to the brink of suicidal thoughts. And so I wanted to share my story of how I was able to overcome that through the help of God, because the fact of the matter is, I'm sure I'm not the only person that has dealt with that. And as I shared my story before I wrote the book, I met somebody else who was also dealing with some of that. And so it was kind of a confirmation to me that what I went through wasn't just for me, but it was to help someone else, which typically is, a lot of what we deal with when we have struggles. We deal with things, but it is a story that is meant to help somebody else. It's not just for us. And so that's what made me want to write the book.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your why.
Mhm.
In the book, you kind of defined how you defined the I'm okay as being the figurative mask. And that's a phrase that we just in general use every time, anytime things are hard. Um, and the way you defined it and the way you compared it to it being a mask was really powerful. Can you explain a little bit more what you meant to our listeners who have not read your book? How and why was the I okay piece of your story so crucial in your journey?
Probably because I was dealing with so much. And when I came out on the other side, so while I was in it, I didn't realize what was happening. It was when I came out of it and I spoke to someone, and I remembered that person saying to me, I never knew you were dealing with anything. I saw you, every day at work. I had no idea what you were dealing with. That person didn't know I was in my office with the door closed crying, and didn't even know that I had gone through a divorce. Didn't know all the things that was transpiring in my life. So that's where the thought of I'm wearing a mask. People would ask me, I would go to church, and literally I was on my last string. It was all I could do to get there, to get in the building. I was holding on by a thread. I was trying not to get a church hug because, if you get a church hug, that's kind of like it. I'm going to break down and cry. So I'm like, please just don't touch me. Just say hi and keep moving. And I remember, and I talk about it in my book, there was someone that I knew cared about me and knew somewhat of what I was going through. And that person on that day asked me, are you okay? And I said, yep, I'm okay. I was so not okay in that moment, but I knew that I would totally melt down if I had given in and removed my mask and said, I'm not okay. And unfortunately, I didn't get my healing that could have been possible in that moment, or at least, a release in that moment with someone who actually cared about me, because I didn't want anyone to see me without my mask on. And that's really detrimental in so many ways to who we are supposed to be as humans. I mean, God gave us emotions, tears and emotions and thoughts, and spend so much of our time just saying, I'm okay, and we're really not okay.
Yeah. That's real. I mean,
Yeah,
the I'm okay. It's easier. It feels like sometimes to just not unload on people.
right.
Um, so people might look at you and know that things aren't okay, and they feel better when they ask. And if you just say I'm okay, then they'll leave you alone.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so my question from a parenthood perspective with the I'm okay piece, since you are in close quarters with your child all the time, and you were going through so much for so long without anybody really truly knowing until you finally got the courage to share that information. How were you able to mask it around your child? And how, as a parent, what were the feelings that were going through while you were experiencing what you thought was depression?
So, in my thought process, it was, he didn't ask for this. Like what I was dealing with was as a result of life and choices that I made, but he's my child. So I did not feel it was appropriate for me to lay on him what I was dealing with, at least not in detail. Now, there were moments where, I just got home from work. I am, tired. I need a minute. I can say that. I can say, yep, just give me a minute, son. I just, a little tired, had a rough day at work, and leave it at that. I can come in my room. I can cry. I can do what I need to do. And then I pull it together for him, because that was a burden that I was not willing to lay on him as a child. And so what I would do is I would take the moments like you talked about. I would take the moments of, if I'm in the shower and I had a moment, I could cry in the shower. I do recall moments of being like, God, help me. And that was all I could say in that moment, in that shower. But my job as his mom is and was to protect him from that. He was not mature enough, able to handle what I was dealing with. And so I would never have laid that on him. So I chose my moments, when he was away for a weekend or whatever, I could have my time. When I come home from work, I could take a little bit of time, but I made sure that I didn't lay that on him. I was honest with him to some degree about the transition that was happening, just so that he was aware, but I made sure that I didn't disparage the other party or put that on him in that way. It was, this is what's happening. And then I watched him to make sure, to see if he needed to talk to somebody. Is he okay? Because that was something that impacted the household with him. But as far as my emotions as an adult, it was for me to deal with that, because he was not built to carry that from his mom.
It's interesting that you say he wasn't built to carry that, because in your book you do mention that there were times where you were really putting him first and his thoughts first, and you weren't really not worried, but considering where you were emotionally and mentally. And at the same time, he was doing that for you.
Right.
And, you know, it's just interesting, because although we do, as parents, we want to protect our kids from any and every harm that may come their way. But I think they're much stronger than we give them credit for. And I have to even tell, myself that with my 5-year-old daughter, who is so observant and so smart, and she can sense something's not right.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, I'm feeling a little sad today. And I have done that. So please don't get me wrong. I have been in that space where I'm just like, I'm a little sad today, but I can't tell him, all mommy wants to do is lay in the bed and sleep all day and watch TV. Don't talk to me. I don't want to cook your dinner. I can't do another thing today. Please leave me alone. Like, I couldn't do that, but I could say I'm feeling a little sad today, but mommy will be okay. And he would be like, okay, can I get you something? And he'd get me something, and we're good. That's the most. The rest was for me to work out between me and God, and me and a therapist, and just to feel and think and work my way through it.
Yeah. I said all of that to say kudos to you.
Yeah.
Because you raised a young man who's sensitive and, understands, hey, I can help my mom today. So that's something to truly, truly be proud of.
Thank
I
you.
see. So you're welcome. So I had a couple questions. Still, I'm okay. And then I want to jump into one of the emotions that are called out when you're saying I'm okay, because it hit me like a sword. It hit me. I was like, so you talk about, how do you think things would have been different if you recognized your mask a little bit sooner?
I think if I had recognized my mask sooner, my healing would have come sooner. I don't think I would have reached the breaking point that I reached on that day when the thought of suicide came. So if I had realized that, I would have gotten help for myself. I would have gone back to that therapist that I was seeing when I was dealing with the marital issues and things like that. I should have continued that. And I would have, in the moment that that person that I knew cared about me said to me, "Are you okay?" I should have said, "No, I'm not okay." And I think I would have gotten there sooner. So yeah, that's
not easy.
no.
So, I mean, you had to learn that.
You had to learn. When we don't learn our lesson, sometimes we are faced with it again in a different form, and it's, will you do something different? And so since then, I've had another issue, and I immediately jumped on that thing. I need help. Let me place a phone call. I am okay. Here's the mask. It is down. This is what I need. And I immediately jumped in and got what I needed because I was determined to do things differently this time.
Almost liberating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you learn that lesson and you do what you're supposed to do when it comes to you. Yeah, that's definitely liberating.
I'm like, I need to follow the stuff I wrote in this book.
Look at that page. I remember.
Right, what page did I write that on? I need to do this.
So the next question that stemmed from that question, you may have already answered it, but I want to hone in on it just because I want people to hear that this might be what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I wrote this book. What advice would you give to a mom who really needs help but doesn't know how to ask? So she said, I'm okay. That doesn't just have to be a mom, but nailed it, motherhood. So we're focused on the parenting piece, but it doesn't have to just be for parents.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked before about giving yourself grace. A lot of times we are very, very hard on ourselves as mothers. I'm working, I'm not spending enough time, I'm not spending enough money. As you said, our kids think we're rich and we're not, so we're doing something right that they think we're rich, right? And so I think in those moments is not everyone is built to carry what you're dealing with. But it is really crucial to have someone in your life that you can share with, whether that is, a friend who gives you good advice, but that gives you advice that is not, biased. Everything is beautiful. You're great. Sometimes our friends need to tell us that, no, sis, you're wrong on this one and kind of challenge us a little bit. But for me, I would say, ask for help. remove the mask for a moment. And if there isn't a friend, a family member, someone that you can trust with your heart, then seek a therapist and talk to a therapist, because you can have Jesus and a therapist. But those people are trained to assist you. And if the first therapist doesn't work out, find somebody else. I talked to a therapist. I did not like him. And it was not a good match for me. So I went and found a different one to talk to. But a lot of times we need to get it out, and we need maybe some third-party advice. And some of the advice that I have received in therapy, I still use it to this day. When things happen, I say, oh, that's right. She said this. That's what's happening in this moment. So I honestly would just say, extend yourself grace and ask for help.
First, before I talk about this next piece, I do want to thank you for being so transparent in your book, to the point where you shared some of your journal entries with us. And to me, that's as transparent as you can get. When we talk about being able to help someone else out of a situation, showing your heart and how you wrote down your words and your thoughts to God is probably one of the best ways to do it, to be quite honest with you, where you had so many questions, and it just kind of, it humanizes you, and it reminds other people that are looking into your heart and your thoughts that this person is real, and this person really had a lot of questions to God, and they really poured out their heart to find out what was going on. So I thank you for that wisdom. I thank you for that transparency. And I thank you for being courageous to like really put it in ink and push it out there, because I do believe that it is necessary for people to read, especially people who don't quite understand how to be honest with themselves enough to be honest with other people who might have the answer for them. So I said that to say the piece that hit me the most was the scripture that you referenced about pride. And a lot of the times the I'm okay is truly rooted in pride, because we don't want people to know what's going on in our lives and thinking we will figure it out. But in reality, that pride causes strife, which is just a battle between you and you, because you refuse to say, I need help.
I need help.
Need help. And the scripture that she referenced, and I'm not trying to make Nailed It Motherhood a church service, but I do want to point out the scripture because the scripture alone. Which translation did you use?
NIV. I think it's NIV.
Okay. Yeah. So it is coming from Proverbs 13, 11, and 10. I'm sorry, 10 and 11. Wrote that backwards. Where there is strife, there is pride, but wisdom is found in those who take advice. I love that, because I know even while you were going through your time of darkness and your journey that led you to the point of writing this book, I was leaning on you. And I needed to put my pride aside in a lot of things that I was going through during that time. And the wisdom was there on your end, to say, let me pour into her what I know that I may have gone through. I believe it was actually towards the end of your journey where you shared with me that you went through a lot of the things that I was coming to you for. I don't know if you remember it, but I do remember a conversation like, this is very similar to something I went through, and it didn't really click until I'm saying this now. But you helped me through a lot during that time. So I appreciate that you did not let the thoughts of that the enemy put into your mind that day
Mm-hmm.
take you
Mm-hmm.
out of this world. Because if nobody else needed you, I needed you.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that. But that pride, baby, I'm not going to be honest to God ugly truth because
Yeah.
I was too proud to tell you how ugly my life was and the things that I was doing.
Yeah.
It could have been an ugly situation.
But that's what happens, right? Because that's what the enemy uses. He uses that pride to keep us from getting healed, to keep us from being blessed, to keep us from moving forward. Because if he can keep you in a place where you're depressed and you're sad and you're not sharing, and you're not helping somebody else, then you can't be healed. Part of my healing was being able to share my story, and not just with you, with someone else who came to me and was like, I was going to kill myself today, but I just heard your story. And because of that, I'm going to get help. And I thought, God, that's why, you look for a reason. Why am I going through this? So that was one of my whys about going through this piece of it, this journey in my life, was because there was at least one person who needed to know what I went through so that they know that there is another side. When we're going through things, we think this is it. Like, I'm going to be in this place forever. But generally speaking, things are cyclical, and then you will come out on the other side. It just may take some time. It may not look pretty, but if we get help and if we keep persevering through it, we will come out on the other side and be like, yo, I made it through this. Look at that. But we do have to ask for help. We have to be able to accept help. I mean, I know this is, motherhood podcast, but I still deal with it. I mean, I had foot surgery a year ago, and I remember I could not get around at all. I mean, I was on a scooter and, a little trip to the kitchen. I was ready to pass out on the floor. And my aunt called and she said, hey, I'm going to stop and pick up lunch today. I'm going to bring you something. What do you want? This is where I'm going. Oh, no, I'm okay. I can go. She said, girl, you are prideful. You are not going to block my blessing today. I said, I'm going to pick up lunch. This is where I'm going. What do you want? I'm bringing it to you, because I didn't want to inconvenience her. I'm okay. I didn't want her to spend her money. She's like, you're blocking my blessing. I'm trying to get blessed here. But it was the pride in that moment that almost kept me from eating that day. So it is a struggle, but it is one that if we are mindful of it, we can do better.
Right. Absolutely. We
Yeah.
can defeat that
Yep.
that pride. It's just funny to me that you were on the other side of you blocking my blessing, because I can remember quite some times where you were fussing at me because I said, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'd rather struggle.
It's a lot easier to tell somebody about it than to recognize it in ourselves. So that's how it works.
Absolutely. I just wanted to remind you that you sounded like your auntie.
I know, okay? I did. Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So I think you broke your book down pretty good. So I don't have many other questions, but I do want to just remind or even introduce some of the points that I got, some of the takeaways that I pulled that you did bring them out in this interview. But for the listeners who have not had a chance to read Behind the Mask, I do want to let you know, just as a reminder, don't let that mask hinder you from moving forward in your journey. Like, really, truly knock that pride down and get the help and the healing that you need so that you can grow to the place that you're supposed to be. Whether it's in motherhood, whether it's in a work journey, whether it's in a friendship journey, I feel like I could say check for all of those and some. So know that mask although it might look good, is really just a hindrance to your next level. So go ahead and take it off. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So here are some of the key points that I pulled from the book that, you might need to just go back and read that chapter if this, resonates with you. So have a few friends in your village that will pray, cry, laugh, listen, and check you. Know how to take off the I'm okay mask. Pop the pride. Ask for help and believe God's plan. So those are some of the key takeaways that I have. Don't ever devalue your life. This is what Dr. Christal showed me in Behind the Mask. Don't devalue your life and your purpose because it's hard.
Yeah.
There will always be a reason why you had to go through that valley to get to the other side.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing your heart with us. Thank you for staying strong. I know that was hard during that time, but I do know from just reading that Brent was on the forefront of your mind.
Yes.
Tying it back to parenting.
Yes, always.
And we see his ministry now because you stayed strong and you kept praying and you healed and all that jazz. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, we're going to go to your favorite part of the podcast, and we're going to lighten it up a little bit. And we're going to play tea time. I have to come up with I feel like at this point I should hit play and it should be like a tea time. I don't like, but it's time.
It's time. Play something. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock and we're going to play tea time. Just as a reminder, listeners, tea time is a game of rapid fire. And I've come up with a bunch of new questions, so we get to dig a little bit deeper into the conversation. Yay!
Yay!
So Christal has no idea what questions she will be getting, but she will have 3 minutes to answer as many questions as she can and give us a little bit more insight into who she is. So, Christal, Dr. Chatman.
Yes.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Get started. First question. Name the most spontaneous thing you've ever done.
Oh my gosh, the most spontaneous thing I've ever done. A helicopter ride in Hawaii.
That sounds fancy. What's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure is, let's see, sunflower seeds and a Pepsi and Netflix in the bed all day.
I feel like we've heard that sunflower seeds before.
Yes.
Okay. Name one book, podcast, or resource that's changed your perspective.
It is Joyce Meyer's, and it just escaped my mind. Battlefield of the Mind.
Mm-hmm. What is your comfort go-to food? You kind of already answered that, but we might have.
Well, it's that, but it's also French fries. I must have French fries regularly.
So dangerous. Morning person or night owl?
Neither. My husband and I have a thing. I get up in the morning and I go,
Yeah. What's your hidden talent?
I do have a nice singing voice, which I like to keep to myself.
Oh, but why? What is your last TV show or movie you binge watched?
I am currently binge watching Virgin River.
That's good stuff. I love it. Love it. If you could give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Do not get into debt.
Amen. Oh my gosh, amen. What's your dream vacation spot?
Right now, it is the Maldives. That is where I want to go.
Can you take me with you?
Yes,
That's
I
not a
can.
part
Let's
of.
roll.
Okay. Last question. What pet peeve will you never get over?
What pet peeve will I never get over? Oh my gosh. What pet peeve? Well, I don't know. Oh, clutter. Like I have a thing about like papers and clutter, and yeah, I will never get over that, ever, ever.
If you declutter, I will pay you. Come on, help. Well, thank you for spending time with me. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
I got to learn some more about you. And,
Yes.
I'll be starting my, so sorry. I will be starting, that's time, time to
Yes.
wind down for bed.
Yeah.
I will be starting to plan for my Maldives vacation with you shortly. So just keep an eye
Yes,
out
let's
for
roll.
it. So,
How about it?
yes, and thank you. At this time, I would love to offer you the floor back to give any encouraging words or inspirational quotes that you might have for any of our listeners.
So I think if I had to give inspirational words or thoughts, I'm going to speak directly to introverts because I am an introvert. And what I would say is allow yourself to step out of your comfort zone so that you are able to connect with people, so that you're able to heal from things that you have gone through, so you're able to pursue purpose, but also extend yourself grace. If you need, downtime, because as introverts, we tend to get our recharging when we're by ourselves, which is fine. I spend quite a bit of time trying to recharge and in whatever way that I need to do that. But it is also important to allow people in, to allow people to help you with your child, to help you with things that you're going through, to be able to bless you for therapy, whatever that space is. Be sure that you extend yourself grace to say, I'm not okay, to ask for help, to set down the pride, and then to accept the help so that you can move forward in healing and purpose and destiny. That's
Thank you so much for those words of wisdom. And
well,
I do hope that our listeners put down the pride and take heed to the advice because we don't have to live the hard life if somebody else already did it for us
yes.
and gives us those. I'm learning that very, very, very well. Also, I didn't have to do. But
Yeah.
anywho,
Yeah.
so once again, I want to thank you for coming back to Nailed It Motherhood
Yes,
podcast.
thank you for
I
having
know
me.
you're not a problem. It is always fun talking to you. I always get to learn a little bit more about somebody I always looked up to. Shoot, when did I meet you? In 2009. It's
Yeah.
been almost 20, almost 15 years.
15 years. Yeah.
And you have been my big sis ever since. And I follow you. So it's nice to dig into some of your thought processes and really dig into your stories and how they, benefit other people. So I am
Thank you.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Um, how can people follow you or find you or your book?
So it is on my website, which is drchrystal.com, and Christal is spelled Christl. Christal, as you can see on screen. But that is where you can find my book. And if you have questions or, sometimes I do speak out. So if you would like me to speak somewhere or connect, my contact information is there as well.
Thank you so much. And Christal, I just have
You're
a few
welcome.
more questions before you go.
Yes.
Is parenting hard?
Yes, it is. I have a 23-year-old and I'm still parenting. Yes, it's hard.
It doesn't end at 18. Oh.
It is absolutely worth it. Every moment of it is worth it especially when you see the outcome.
That's so special. I have a long way to go. But
you'll get there.
If you could shout on the mountaintop one thing as a mom, what would you proudly say?
This mama is nailing it.
Yes, she is. Even at the 23 years of age where it's still hard, she is nailing it, y'all. Well, if you like this episode and you want to hear more personal parenting stories like my friend and sister, Dr. Christal Chatman, subscribe to my social media, Nailed It Motherhood Podcast. That's on Instagram, Facebook, and even YouTube now. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We also have a website for your one-stop shop about our podcast, and hopefully soon a Nailed It online store coming soon. You heard it here first with Dr. Cece and Tammy. Don't forget, you can be a guest on the podcast by completing a guest application. The link is in the bio. We welcome your questions, comments, and ideas, and we certainly hope to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep on doing what it is you do and ask for help. Smooches!